We practice witchcraft. We speak the right words and we create life itself. Everything in this world is magic, except to the magician.
Welcome back. This is the first video of the robotic head series of this channel. The goal is to have something similar to the origin robots of the Ahead Form company. Do you know these Chinese good-looking hyper-realistic robots that are a trend in China now? They can't be the only ones making bangers in hyper-realistic humanoid robots.
On average, it won't work, but what if it does?
I have a lead. This guy that you see on screen is one of the researchers of this paper, and you're not going to believe this. One of the founders of Ahead Robotics company. And looking at both side to side, we can see that the paper is very revealing. Although I don't have access to any CAD file or something like that, but this is a good start. And of course, I cannot avoid talking about the robotic head of Gogli. This is a very good reference for this project, and if you are interested in this kind of robotic stuff, go and check out his channel. If we look carefully into the paper, we can see that the full mouth mechanism is like right over there. So we can observe some bar mechanisms that are very important for later, but for now we can observe these simple ones that move up and down some lip sections. Notice that the silicone skin plugs right into the mechanism through magnets. To be honest, I think that is a troublesome approach because you have to embed the magnets into the silicone while it's curing, and that's difficult, at least for my skills. And here's where the design of Gogli comes in. He was using magnets with some compromises, but now in one of his latest models he uses screws. I am going to use the same principle, but making it part of the 3D designs instead of adding more external pieces. Now is the best time to tell you that,
well, I'm pregnant.
And if you want this baby too, you can have it for free.
Damn, you having 5 babies? No, it's one fucking baby.
On my Patreon, on the free tier, all the codes, all the CAD files, everything is free on the Patreon, so...
Yeah, that's your nose, that's your leg, that's your motherfucking baby, bitch. I'm not even black and white. Motherfucker, that's the ink.
Go and subscribe. What are you waiting? It's free. Okay. I don't know what to say to you because the design is not that complex, to be honest. So we have a lot of teeth like in a regular human being and these yellow links. These ones move the inner sections of the lips up and down, and that's it. But these red ones are a little bit more interesting because if you look carefully, you can notice that these are a closed mechanism. So we have to derive some mathematical functions to tell the robot where the tip, or in robotics slang, like the end effector, should be, accordingly to the angles of these servo motors. Okay, it's very late now, and I am recording this video, so all for the YouTube channel. So, I saw someone doing this kind of mathematical derivations on a paper, but I think it's like overdoing it a little bit, because there is a more simpler way that we don't need to create imaginary triangles on an imaginary polygon for this mechanism. My intention here was to talk a little bit about the mathematical derivation of the equations for the movement of the mechanism, but I noticed that I ended up doing the same thing on the paper. Remember that the idea here is to have a way to move the corners of the lip, so we can specify the position of the end effector of this mechanism and move up and down, or stretch the lips, or make the opposite movement, like for the O shape or the E shape. So when talking, the mouth can generate the illusion that is indeed speaking through its mouth instead of a speaker. The demonstration that you are seeing on the screen is one of the demos, because think a little bit, we cannot put mathematical equations directly on the mechanism because it can break if something is wrong. That is where the simulation between codes comes in handy. If you want to inspect or extract the equations or see more of this code, you can do it. Remember that is on the free tier of Patreon, alongside everything else that I am showing in this video. And finally, for the silicone mold, we have 3 pieces. So on the top we have like a tray or something like that to pour the silicone, so it can stay a little bit on it until it goes down slowly. And we have the green and yellowish part that are glued together. So
Do I look pretty now? Look at all my mechanisms, pretty neat, right?
I am using these heat brass inserts. They are very cool because you just have to hit them and the plastic melt around them, and the bond is so strong. Of course, we're going to need a lot of servos, and in this case we are using 8 for the lips and 1 for the jaw. And to send the control signal I am using an Arduino Nano, but I am not connecting all these servos to this tiny microcontroller. The missing part is this driver. It's very common and it's very cheap and it's just perfect for this. I am a decent human being. I am not a weirdo, I'm not a pervert that measures stuff in feet. So of course I'm going to use the metric system to measure everything in centimeters, millimeters. Isn't it cool that we can do this kind of stuff at home? Doing this, I totally feel like Dr. Ford of Westworld.
No, I don't think so. It's not about giving the guests what you think they want. No, that's simple.
I totally recommend it. It's like robots, hyper-realistic robots on a theme park.
They're not looking for a story that tells them who they are. They already know who they are.
And they gain consciousness, but regular human beings go to that park to relieve stress, playing cowboys and other physical activities.
They're here because they want a glimpse of who they could be.
We have the hardware done. Pretty cool, right? And I have to confess that I made some mistakes. First, it's about the structures of the bones and the position of the skin on top of it. As you can see, or maybe you already noticed, that when the robot talks, the teeth of the lower section are visible, but not the upper ones. And that's because I mismatched the height of the lips in front of the teeth. I am going to move the lips a little bit on the next iteration, like for the final version of this project. And the other one is about the skin itself. You know that it attached to the tips of the mechanism, the skin, and that took some iterations. The first version, it's okay, but the cover of the tips are too slim, too small. So when the robot moves, they just unplug. I already solved that, and I am seriously considering using magnets. I know that I told you all that magnets are not the best idea, but considering it a little bit more, it seems like the right way to go. But I still have to think a little bit on how. I'm going to experiment with this idea on the next video for the eye.
If you are interested in seeing more of myself, more part of my body coming into reality, give me a thumbs up and subscribe.
The robot can talk, but we need to remember our goal. That is to have an emotional, expressive robot that can also talk. So there is a guy called Eggman who said once that these and only these are the human basic emotions. So we can use that standardization of our expression to put them into the robot. So if we know that we can calibrate the different position of the lips, we can also use the same mechanism to have a template for the different clues of happiness, sadness, surprise, etc. We can see here another small demo. The robot is not trying to replicate my exact face, but the emotional expression of it. It's funny because from time to time the algorithm detects the robot half face instead of my full face. I will consider that as a good result for now. And if you are wondering, what about the talking part? Well,
that is for the next video. Tell me, what would you like me to have on my next iteration? Do you have any good ideas? I will be reading the comments as soon as I have an eye. Only one is necessary, right?
Thanks if you make it this far, and if you can give a thumbs up and subscribe, it will mean the world to me. Then let's meet on the next one.